Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you the verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. We want to start off with a controversial topic, but the reason why we're doing this particular topic is because it's been pestering me for a couple of years now. And so we're going to get into it. Now, this particular thing that we're discussing today is dealing with Jesus, the Messiah, and Jesus, the Son of the Father. Because what became interesting to me is looking at the Coptic Church. And the Coptic Church predates the European Church. And the Coptic Church was originally based in Ethiopia, in Africa. Then you have a European church based in Europe. But they have two different theologies. Now, looking at the Coptic Church, they have, among the calendar of the saints, they have Pontius Pilate. They gave him sainthood because they believe he was the one who freed Jesus. Now, it's curious because in the King James Bible, or the European text version of the Bible, and some people point out facts that King James was a black man, but we're not here to discuss that part. We're just talking about what was given to black people, but then what black people, and when I'm referring to the Coptic Church now, the black Coptic Church, Ethiopian church that predates the European brand of religion of Christianity, has Pontius Pilate as a saint. So then I went back and did my due diligence in studying and found out that you had two men upon the cross named Jesus. One was Jesus the Messiah. One was Jesus the Son of the Father, which is known as Barabbas. And Barabbas' first name is Jesus. Now, when I hear Europeans speak on Barabbas, they call him a murderer, a liar, and a thief, a terrorist, a troublemaker. And I'm like, man, that's the same thing how a lot of supremacists, white supremacists, portray black men. They use some of that same language. I said, well, let me delve a little bit deeper into Barabbas and who Barabbas was. Now, Barabbas, of course, was around the time of Jesus. Jesus Barabbas was around the time of Jesus the Christ. They both did similar works. Jesus Barabbas, he fought against Roman authority, or the rule over Rome, based upon how they were treating his people. They called him a murderer. He led an insurrection against Roman authority. He stole from the Romans to feed his people. They called him a thief. They called him a murderer. But no, in actuality, he was a revolutionary who was a leader of a group of insurrections who said that we're not going to be up under Roman rule and be treated as second-class citizens, or be treated in such a way that demeans who we are. So he led the physical fight for the Jews against those who seek to oppress the Jews of that time, or Hebrews at that time, or Aramaic speaking group, let's say. And so they both had similar lives. Jesus was called the King of the Jews, and this is Jesus the Christ. He led the people to God through obedience and through the Word. He was non-violent except when he threw the money changers up out of the temple and physically threw them out. He put hands on them. But Jesus Barabbas went a step further in his revolutionary tactic, saying that he wasn't going to let them degrade him or put another man above him when he is the Son of the Father. So when they had Jesus the Christ and Jesus Barabbas, or Jesus the Son of the Father, both on the cross, the people, Pontius Pilate asked, who do you want to be released? Jesus the Messiah or Jesus, Son of the Father? The crowd chose Jesus, Son of the Father, because they too witnessed Barabbas was right there fighting with them side by side. He led the insurrection on behalf of to free them from being treated horribly and by the Romans. So Jesus Barabbas, or Jesus, Son of the Father, he was set free. And then they crucified Jesus, the Messiah, because they asked him, are you the King of the Jews? And Pontius Pilate, Rome, and their ideology, there could only be one king. Their mindset was Jesus, the King of the Jews, or Jesus the Messiah, or Jesus the Anointed One, was there to take over the throne. He wanted to be a king besides the king. And their mindset, that was a no-no. But the people knew Barabbas, Jesus, Son of the Father, by his works, with them and for them. But for some reason, they didn't recognize, or not saying they didn't recognize, but they didn't choose, or they didn't, let's say, they didn't feel as though what Jesus the Messiah did for them, they didn't feel as though it was on the same scale as what Jesus, the Son of the Father, did for them. So, in the Coptic Christian, they painted Pontius Pilate in their calendar of saints. It gave him sainthood for freeing Jesus and him not dying on the cross that day. So then I go back and say, well then, why did they teach us, or why didn't they teach us about the two Jesuses that was on the cross? What's going on with that? Now, in one sense, through the teachings of the NOI, we get that they're more than, or Jesus represents more than one person. So I would say and Jesus also represents the black man in America. And Minister Farrakhan broke that down. You would have to go back and look at the lectures of where he talks about the representation of Jesus and how it correlates with the black man in America. All the way down to the thorns on the head, to where the hands and feet are bound, to where we would have a mind and want to be productive, but we'd be bound. And he broke that down so beautifully. But why wasn't that taught? And it's certain elements of the Bible that's not being taught to black people when you read it. I mean, it's like it's taboo, or it's like off limits to the actual meaning of things, or the metaphysics, spirituality of what the Bible is actually talking about. And in those two Jesuses, Jesus the Messiah, or Jesus the Anointed One, or Jesus King of the Jews, then you have Jesus Son of the Father. That is simply saying that, as C. Freeman L. was saying, that the Father is the head. He was stating that what's between heaven and earth is the mind, or the head. So that leads one to the understanding that your spiritual self, or your mind, as a man thinketh, so is he. That's showing the power of your mind. And it's also showing the power of your thoughts, because you create your own reality. So I'm looking at it as though you have the physical Jesus, Son of the Father, and then you have the mind, or God, as it says, when I look in the mirror, as Minister Farrakhan says, when I look in the mirror, or when you look in the mirror, you should be looking at God, because all of you are God's children of the Most High God. You just have to know all of God's attributes in order to become one with the Creator, and that was everyone's whole mission. But through slavery, it disconnected you from the Creator, to where you would say, well, there's none good. I'm not good. And that's true. But you still came forth from the Creator, who created the heavens and the earth, who created you and who breathed his breath of life in you, or breathed his spirit in you. So that means that you walking around with the Spirit of God within you. That means that you have power, you have mind, you can bring things into existence with your thoughts. You can have a peaceful life with your thoughts and your actions, but your thoughts come first. Then from your thoughts, you formulate the action in order to achieve the peace. But you set things in motion just by thinking positive. You know? That's what that's about. So when they tell you, and it's more than Jesus died on the cross and he rose in 3 days, because Friday at 6 p.m. till Sunday at 6 a.m., that's not 3 days. And then also in John 17, 3 and 4, Jesus out before the resurrection, Jesus stated that his work was finished. That he accomplished his work. It was finished. So you can't, well, let's put it like this. You can't rely on people to how can I say? You can't rely on people who had you in bondage to suit their benefit. That means whatever they give you, even if it's religion, it is also to suit their benefit. Now, they can stop you from the truth, but the truth is the truth. And it can be uncovered and discovered and figured out. That's why it says, in all thy getting, get understanding. Seek knowledge. Knowledge is power. You have to realize some pastors can't give you the full truth because they'll be threatened with the removal of their 501c3. So they can't tell you everything of what went on. You have to go dig and find it out yourself. And you have people such as myself who will throw something out there and people will go research and they'll look it up and they'll take it even further than what I did. I'm just simply saying I ran across something that was mighty strange, and through my research, I'm finding out that one, there were 2 people named Jesus on the cross. 2, when I hear a lot of Europeans speak on Jesus Barabbas, I mean, they slandering him. I mean, they call him all kind of murderers and thieves, but they do that to black people who fight back today. You know, a prime example. Dylan Roof killed 9 black people in a church, and they took him to go get something to eat and raise for $4 million for his bail. Black men speak out against racism, and he will be slandered by Bill O'Reilly on the Fox News channel, who is currently now under investigation for sexual harassment. You have so many, and they name blacks when they fight back. They call every name they call Jesus Barabbas. They call the black man who stands up for his rights. They'll say he's a terrorist. They'll say he's a thug. They'll say he incites violence. I mean, all sorts of things he'll be accused of and slandered and called names. And it's like, Come on, you don't call any of the Europeans those names as thugs, murderers, terrorists, even though they do the act of a terrorist. White boy with a knife just stabs a black man, kills him. You don't say terrorist. You say hate. That's beyond hate. That is hate. That's terrorism. Timothy McVeigh was not a terrorist. All these the cops who they had the nuts to convict for killing black people due to their racist thoughts, those wasn't terrorists. It's just curious to me, man, to see how things are shaped purposely to give out a specific type of outcome where they want you to think a certain way towards something, meaning that they want to shape your mind towards the reality that you see with your own eyes, with your own mind. Like you don't have critical thinking skills, or like you can't process this information and see it for what it is. Black people being gunned down, shot down, hung, head dragged like James Byrd, and people are like, damn, these people are terrorists, or these people are savage. But we say kumbaya moment, we say, okay, well, we all the same. Okay, well then, let the criticism and let the justice be the same if we all the same. Get rid of the Voting Rights Act that you have to renew every so many years. If we're citizens, well, we need a Voting Rights Act bill to be voted upon to give us the right to vote in peace every so many years. I mean, why should we play the game? We have knowledge, information. We have a history that predates the European history. So why should we, matter of fact, we got the oldest history on the planet, so why should we sit back and be second-class citizens when the whole human family came up out of a black woman? I'm just curious, but so back to this, and it's not, and like I stated once before, there's not to bash any particular brand of religion or any particular ideology that is taught or that's not being taught. And I'm not trying to mess the pastor's flock up. If he chooses to keep them in the dark and they choose to stay in the dark, that's their business. That's not what this is about. This is simply about the two Jesus on the cross, and were they both physical beings, or were they representation of as above, so below, or one representing the physical man, the Son of Man, and one representing the spiritual Son, but the mindset of thought of the Creator? Was it metaphorically speaking? Did they choose Jesus, the Son of the Father, Jesus Barabbas, because of his works right there with them that they witnessed and they knew who Barabbas was? I mean, there's so much info we need to know. Or, not saying we need to know, but in a sense we do need to know, simply because this story has been told to black people for years, but things were left out. And we got to figure out why certain things were left out, to where we had no idea, even from poor whites, certain knowledge was left out to use them as what? As the teaching says, to use them as a tool. If you don't have the proper information or proper knowledge, and someone has an abundance of knowledge over you, then they can mind game you and use you as a tool. Have you do their bidding without you even knowing about it or having any clue. You just would be a puppet in the game. Somebody pulling your strings. Somebody got you believing how they want you to believe in order to use you as a tool. But in this day and time, some people want to be used as a tool. So, I mean, that's on them. I'm just simply saying. Interesting topic. I mean, for those who go out and do research, I mean, check it out. Check out, look at the Coptic Christians and their sainthood, which was the beginning of the journey of Pontius Pilate, as them honoring him as a saint for letting Jesus go. Verbal Creek Radio, we're out.